Well, they had to close the roof. The Valley of the Sun has clouds overhead. That's not allowed down here in Phoenix. It's rare. But the Rockies and Diamondbacks will play fully indoors tonight as the Rockies look to make it 2 straight in this series that began a 10-game road trip last night for the Rockies, a 9-0 victory as Tyler Chatwood again pitched very well, and the Rockies beat up Robbie Ray, who was gone after 4 innings. Charlie Blackmon returned to the lineup last night, a couple of hits, and he is one of the bona fide true leadoff hitters, a dynamic leadoff hitter in the big leagues, because he also can leave the ballpark. Very comfortable atop that lineup, sets the table for the Rockies. Here's the rest of Wilton Southwest batting order. Very similar to what we saw opening day when the Rockies took on Zack Greinke. Trevor Story. Cargo back in there. He had 48 hours off with the rain out on Thursday. Last night was not in the lineup. Nolan Arenado will bat 4th. Gerardo Parra, he's really swinging the bat. Mark Reynolds, 2 former Diamondbacks back-to-back. Then it's Nick Hundley, DJ LeMahieu, and the good hitting pitcher Chris Russin to face Zack Greinke. Now close your eyes if you're Diamondback fans. He has an unsightly 6.16 ERA. He's won his last couple of decisions. But last game he won, Huey, he gave up 7 runs.
Yeah, and for Zack Greinke, this is 6.16 ERA. If you look at the 103 pitchers that have qualified for the ERA this year, he's sitting at 93rd. And he was numero uno last year, #1 as far as ERA. It hasn't changed much with what he's throwing between the fastball, changeup, sliders, and curves. The difference this year is he's not locating his fastball like he has in previous years, and that makes Chip Hale kind of shake his head a little bit.
Well, a couple of things. He's been awful here at Chase Field. There's no other way to describe it. He has an ERA close to 10 at Chase Field. It's a place he dominated in the past. And the other thing, in talking to a couple of hitters with the Rockies, I said, did you notice something different in the first outing? His fastball was up noticeably and frequently.
And that's why they hit home runs off of him last time opening day here.
So here we go. Zack Greinke to Charlie Blackmon, and the first pitch is just off the plate, ball 1. Home plate umpire is Toby Bassner. Outfield and infield straight up for Charlie. Had a hit to left and a hit to right last night, and that fastball is in there. And you'll notice, if you look at the miles per hour on his fastball, he varies speeds with his fastball, maybe more than any pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, he could go from 87 to 93. And there's a 91. Sometimes he'll cut it, other times he'll turn it over, he'll sink it. Caught the corner of the Subaru strike zone.
One, 2, and he got him a chase, a breaking ball in the dirt. So Greinke with a strikeout of Blackmon, that'll bring up Story. Let's flash back to opening day when the Rockies tore up Zack Greinke, and it started with this opposite field home run for Trevor Story. And then this ball's the hardest hit ball, literally still one of the hardest hit balls all year in baseball. And then Story would go deep again, this one on a slider against Greinke. 4 innings, 9 hits, and he allowed 7 earned runs. So here's that kid he probably never heard of until opening day. And he steps in against Greinke with 1 out. Fastball's off the plate, ball 1. Greinke in his previous 3 years when he was pitching elsewhere at Chase Field, 6 starts, 6-0 in 0.65 ERA. This year in 3 starts, he has a 9.72
and he's
ERA.
1-2 here at Chase Field. And that 1 win that he received was in his last start when he gave up 7 earned runs.
And the league is hitting .365 against him at Chase Field this year. They hit .199 against him the previous 6 times he visited.
So it's not like he didn't know what he was getting into.
That misses 2-1. And there's been some talk behind the scenes. You know, for as great as Greinke's been, he's like a lot of athletes. They get insecure and talk that he's not comfortable pitching here. I mean, you hate hearing that three games into a 6-year deal. It's paying him in excess of $30 million a year.
So basically, he has 5 years and 3/4 left on that contract, and he's already whispering that, well, I don't know if I like pitching here.
Listen, this is a great hitter's park. It has always been. Two and two. And the curveball's fouled off. Hugh, I just got a text from a buddy of mine when he turned on the game. He said, how many uniforms does Arizona have? It's an infinite amount. I mean, they have all different combinations. We can tell you this, they've worn 8 different uniforms so far this year. And evidently they have more.
What is this, the 5th time we've seen them, and we've seen 5 different uniforms?
They're the Arizona-Oregon Diamond Ducks. 3 and 2.
Last night it was the teal combination. Today it's more of the red and black. The dark hats.
Payoff pitch to Story. They set up away, and a slider and a nasty one. That's a good pitch. 2 up, 2 strikeouts for Greinke, and that'll bring up Cargo.
First 2 strikeouts tonight for Greinke. Both have come on hard biting pitches. Right out of the hand of the Subaru Supermo, located right where Zach Greinke and Wellington Castillo wanted that pitch.
Now Cargo will set up shop with 3 on the right side. Cargo hitting .310, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, .357 in his career against Greinke, including 4 home runs. And that pitch is fouled off.
And that home run we showed a moment ago off of Zach Greinke. That thing, the launch angle, what did we think? It was 14?
It was 14 degrees, which is the lowest.
Right?
I believe it's still the lowest. This ball's in the air to shallow left center field, and it'll drop. So Cargo with the base hit with 2 outs. It is the lowest trajectory, I still believe, in baseball for a home run this year. I mean, it was a true line shot. I was talking to Ryan Rayburn before the ball game, and he said to both of us that, said for anybody else, you know, that hits a few times and rolls to the wall and it's a double. He said that thing just stayed hit.
And if that back wall hadn't been out there by the pool, it would have kept going. I mean, that's how hard it hit. Almost left a dent in the wall.
It would have ended up in Mesa. So here's Nolan with Cargo at first, and they shift 3 to the left side, and that pitch misses.
Well, last night for Nolan, says Robbie Ray, I know he came into the game without giving up a home run, but I'll just add to the total that the Rockies hit against him last night, a total of 4 home runs. I just like all the high fives coming back to the dugout.
Curveball, and Greinke has a good one. Call that a swing. Jordan Baker at first, 1 and 2. April home run showers. Most home runs through the end of April. Rockies all time. Vinny hit 11 in '98. Walker hit 11 in '97 and '01. And now on the final day of April 2016, Story and Arenado. 2 other Rockies in double digits. Held up. Greinke's got a good curveball tonight.
You can see that because he's thrown it more tonight than he did in his last start. Tried it twice in his last start and then just scrapped it and said, no more, I'm not throwing it. Tonight we've seen 4 in the first inning.
Two-out single by Cargo. He's at first. They want to come in. That's always dangerous. And that ball is rifled into left field. A base hit for Nolan. Would that surprise you when Wellington Castillo set up inside?
Maybe they thought they could trick him with the slider that struck out Charlie and Trevor. And then they threw a slider the pitch previous to this. And then they come inside. It's not on the Subaru strike zone, but Nolan pulls his hands real close to his body. That's just trying to get those hands inside the baseball, even though he pulls it.
Well, you've described it many times. Spilly has. He does not get beat in there.
No. You have to have quick hands, but it's a reactionary swing. It's not I'm looking in there because that would set you up for the strikeouts or the swings and misses on a ball away from you.
Well, here comes Gerardo. He's been wearing out his former club this year with doubles. Had 3 opening day, and a couple were against this guy, Zach Greinke.
6 for 15 with 5 doubles, 3 opening day, 2 last night.
This one came within a couple of feet of going out to dead center. I mean, those are absolutely blistered. Here's the 1-0, and Gerardo bounces it up the middle, and we're going to be able to get the runner at first to end the inning. So a little confusion in the middle of the infield almost. Rockies get a couple of hits, do not score against Greinke in inning number 1. Field in Phoenix, Arizona. We'll go to the bottom of the first inning. Gene Segura is going to lead it off for the Diamondbacks. He's had a terrific first month in an Arizona uniform. 36 hits, leading the league. Here's the Southwest batting order for Chip Hale tonight. Brandon Drury will bat second. Then it's Goldschmidt, who's reached 39 straight against the Rockies. Yasmani Tomas will bat cleanup. Wellington Castillo, David Peralta, Chris Owings. Greinke will bat 8th. They do that quite a bit with Greinke. He's no slouch at the plate. Nick Ahmed is playing short, batting 9th. And Chris Russin making his first start of the year. He's been terrific in long relief thus far.
Working on a 9 2/3 inning scoreless streak. Gave up 3 runs on his on opening day at home when he came in relief. But since then he's been outstanding. Look for him tonight to go 5 innings or around 75 pitches because he has not been stretched out. Fastball, cutter, changeup, curve. Since he's come over to the Rockies, he's utilizing the changeup more than he was when he was with the Cubs.
And he misses outside, ball 1 on Segura. Well, we mentioned that we're indoors tonight because there's some rain outside. This is a first I'm about to pass along. That's a strike. They always give the temperature here, both temperatures. Outside, at the public address announcer here, outside it's 111. Inside it's 76 degrees. Right? Well,
yes.
Guess what? Outside it's 74. And for the first time since we've been coming here since it opened in '98,
right.
It's 75 inside. It is warmer inside than it is outside.
You think that would be the case on April 30th?
No.
No.
Now, you grew up in this state.
I know.
Good slider.
But you know what? I don't think we can complain with the weather that's happening back home. A little snow back home.
No, we can't complain. We're just passing on information.
Just the facts.
You got a little burnt yesterday at the pool, by the way. I meant to mention that. Got to put more sunscreen on.
I do. Next time.
2-2. And that is bounced foul. Gene Segura, 36 hits. Orlando Hudson had 37 hits in April. Segura, 36 hits in 25 games, a team record. That's low, 3-2. Rockies held him hitless last night. Swung on and missed, and the tag at the plate makes it official. So Segura is gone, and Russin has the first out. Here in the bottom of the first inning, Brandon Drury coming up. Here's the Rockies defensively. Parra, Blackman, and Cargo in a very good outfield for the Rockies defensively. Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, Mark Reynolds. Mark's played a very good first base, and Nick Hundley is behind the plate. Drury takes ball one. Only 5 hits for Arizona last night. Rockies had a dozen.
Just watching early on with Toby Bassner's strike zone. It's pretty tight.
It's certainly not what we saw the other night, when the strikes from an east-west standpoint expanded the plate to about 21 inches. See Tim Timmons at second, Paul Emmel, the crew chiefs at third. 2 balls and a strike on Drury. That's that changeup. He just turned it over a little bit.
Much like what Zach Greinke does. He can add and subtract from the fastball as well. That's the key to pitching. It's all about disrupting the timing of the hitter. You do that, it don't care how great of a hitter you are. It just gets you on your heels in a very defensive swing. And
change up again, another strikeout.
You have the same arm action as Chris does. You turn the changeup over. You feed into the aggressiveness of the hitter. 83-mile-an-hour changeup, strikeout, 2 down. And that's how you like to see Paul Goldschmidt coming to the plate with 2 down, nobody on.
He was 0 for 1 and 2 walks last night in his final, what would have been his final plate appearance. Chip Hale with the game out of reach went to a pinch hitter, Chris Herman. And that pitch not called a strike. Goldschmidt 2 for 17 so far this year against the Rockies. On the corner, changeup. Now see that if you look at the Subaru strike zone, Toby Bassner that time gave the pitch a little off the plate. Good breaking ball.
Boy, this is just pinpoint control.
You know, Russin is a team guy. He'll do whatever's asked, but this is his preferred line of work, and he strikes out the side. What an impressive beginning for Chris Russin. Segura, Drury, and Goldschmidt all go down swinging. We'll go to the second. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Bank of the West. For a personal approach to banking, go West. Bank of the West. By your hometown Toyota stores, Toyota, let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Oh, some of the good eats at Chase Field. Get yourself some paninis. And I don't mean just any old paninis. You get giant paninis here.
Those big churro hot dogs too. So, boy, those things. I need one of those big presses in my house.
With the grease to boot. This ball launched dead center field and deep and off the very top of the wall for Mark Reynolds. And Reynolds will stop at second with a double. He came within, I don't know, we'll look at the replay, less than a foot, it looked like, of hitting it out of here. That hit even higher than Gerardo Parra's last night.
Catcher number 4.
7th double this season for Mark. Hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark. He thought he might have hit it out.
Well, he's very familiar with playing here, obviously. He's hit a ton of home runs in an Arizona uniform.
And if it's 2 feet to the right, it probably is. And we saw Mark today during batting practice hit a far one.
Yeah, we'll show you exactly where. That was incredible. You and I both looked at each other with our jaws open. I'll let you show everybody where it went.
Yeah, right underneath the Friday sign, right where it says Twitter. He hit one up there during batting practice today. And Drew, you and I looked at each other and we said, wow, did we just really witness that? Sure enough, we did.
You don't expect to get.
Well, I thought those people that were having lunch were going to have something land in their soup of baseball.
Honestly, it could have.
Just having a nice leisurely meal during batting practice.
I'd like a,
incoming.
I'd like a beer, a brat, and
a
can you get an autograph on this baseball, please? That's inside. 2-1 on Hundley. Nick hit a home run last night. Also had a 2-run double. 2 for 5, 3 ribbies last night for Hundley. I don't care who you are. I don't care how great you've been. And gosh knows, the guy on the mound has been fantastic in his career. But you start to get rattled a little bit when you make pitches that ordinarily are inducing either weak swings, swings and misses, poor contact, and guys are hitting rockets off you.
Zach Greinke in his career against the National League West, he's 30-8 Okay, 30-8 with the 286, but half of those losses have come to the Rockies.
How about that? Here's the 3-1, and he went curveball and he walks Nick. That's a very patient at bat by Nick Hundley. And now you have 2 on, nobody out, and DJ, who's hitting 8th, coming to the plate. Fans at the Rockies do as they did last night, score 7 or more, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Do it between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. I hope you took advantage of that late this afternoon. Drew Goodman, Jeff Houston, Mark Stout along in a little bit. And we got some Rockies fans enjoying libations at the pool.
Shows you how cold it is. You have to wear a sweatshirt, though, at the pool.
Back up the middle. Greinke, who's such a great fielder, gets 1 and now 2. You talk about helping yourself out. He's won a Gold Glove in the past, and you just saw why. Very, very good athlete.
2 of them, to be exact, in the last 2 years, in 2014 and 2015. Gets up, but then he sets his feet, makes a strong throw to the shortstop, Nick Ahmed, and then the relay over to first. It's 2 or 3 times in the last 2 days that DJ's hit the ball real hard up the middle. Last night it was a play by Gene Segura. Tonight it is a play by Zach Greinke.
2 outs. Reynolds at third for Russin, who's no slouch. And Chris takes a big swing and does not come up with any baseball. It's 0-1.
That was a 28 double play turned by Arizona, which leads the National League.
Well, they have a real good infield. Nick Ahmed is a terrific shortstop. Gene Segura playing second is a natural shortstop. Goldschmidt's won Gold Gloves at first, and they have Brandon Drury tonight at third. Jake Lamb plays there quite a bit. Lamb's good with the glove. Russin trying to help his own cause, and that's a strike. Reynolds a leadoff double. And he goes to the slow hook.
From 91 to 71.
Always reminded, first and second situations, no outs. What Spilly is so fond of saying, it's oftentimes it's so difficult to hit in that situation. He goes, he used to hate it. And Russin strikes out to end the inning. So Greinke overcomes what could have been a problematic inning. Rockies leave 1 at third base, middle of 2, no score.
Scoreless, they go bottom 2. There's Chris Russin, struck out the side in the first inning. You think back to the end of March. Here we are the last day of April, and there were question marks if Chris Russin was going to break spring training with the Rockies because he had a tendon injury on the middle finger of his left hand, his throwing hand. And he told me this week that he confided in James Paxton. Who's James Paxton? He pitched with him at the University of Kentucky. Paxton is in the Mariners organization. He's pitched in the big leagues. Had the same injury last May. Paxton decided to take some time off and didn't come back for about 4 months. What Russin did was he shut it down right away and didn't want to have surgery, but he was able to get some advice from Paxton, and that's how he's to this point now, guys, where he's okay. And when you don't know if you're going to make the team out of spring training, probably a lot of things running through that guy's mind. I'm glad he had somebody to talk to like James Paxton.
Well, I think you rely, Huey, on coaches, you rely on family, and you also rely on your brethren in the game.
And somebody that's been through the same thing as you, and he understands what's going through your mind, how you think, am I going to be able to pitch again? What's this whole process? So it was nice for Chris to be able to rely on James and have a sounding board other than your family or your coach.
Chris struck out the side in the first inning. First time in his career he's ever struck out the side. What makes it even more notable is he didn't throw a first pitch strike to any of the 3 hitters. And now he's behind 2-0 to Yasmani Tomas. I've said it so many times with him, and we may see Christian Bergman piggybacking with him tonight. These guys really compete.
They're unsung heroes. They're not going to always get the headlines, but they're valuable to your roster. The way you construct your roster, you have to have guys that are very flexible and unselfish.
And a 4-pitch walk to Tomas leading off the second.
Catcher,
We'll bring up
7,
Wellington Castillo. Looks like this young man's found a home in Arizona. 6 home runs in the month of April. Had a 12-game hitting streak, career best earlier in the month.
Makes a difference for a player if you know you're going to be the guy, instead of, well, you're coming to back up, or you're here, you'll catch twice a week. He knows now this is his job.
Or you have the feeling that they're really pushing somebody else and can't wait to promote that person above you.
Right. But no, he comes in now and says, okay, this is mine.
Good block. 1 ball, 1 strike. This year so far, Russin is getting hitters to hit the ball on the ground 56% of the time, which that ground ball rate is the best of his career. And naturally, you'd like to see one here. Good combination to turn to. Tomas not quick at first, nor is Castillo at the plate. Castillo, since putting on an Arizona uniform last June, is at 23 home runs, which is by far the most of any catcher in the National League. Posey's next with 14. He's got 9 more than Posey. Also Wilson Ramos with 14. No team in the NL West began the day over 500, and the Giants lost again. The Mets beat them 6-5. DeGrom got the victory there for New York.
Well, in LA, they've lost 5 straight, and even before yesterday's game, they called the team meeting in the afternoon, try to change things up, and it didn't work.
2-2. So the Dodgers are right at 500. See the Rockies just a game back after the victory last night. Giants have slipped below 500.
Jacob deGrom beat the Giants today. And the rest of the Mets.
Strike 3, inside corner. Good pitch. 4 strikeouts now. As Wellington Castillo's gone. First out of the inning for Russin.
First 3 were swinging strikeouts. This one is a called strikeout.
No
Definitely
question about it.
is in the Subaru strike zone. He was just guessing something else. When you take a pitch that has that much of the plate inside belt high, you're guessing somewhere. You're guessing changeup or a curveball, but it's not coming in.
David Peralta comes up, batting 6th tonight against the left-hander Russin. At the knees, well received by Hundley. Curveball, and that's chopped foul.
Same alignment defensively for the Rockies against Peralta tonight as they did last night, where Nolan is playing a normal shortstop position.
See what I worry about. That is a superb block. It's hard to block a fastball, especially one that goes 57 feet.
Fastballs are the most difficult to block because you're not expecting him to be down there. He just buried that fastball. But I think I know what you're going to say. You kind of worry about the shift in this situation because you have left on left, and as a left-handed hitter, you think about hitting the ball the other way. And he did last night.
And Nick set up away on that particular pitch. Now he's set up more middle of the plate. But on the pitch that was spiked in the dirt, Nick was set up off the plate. Now he may have, I'm not saying he was trying to throw the ball 57 feet, but maybe we don't want to get any of the plate. But obviously, if the ball's put in play, more than likely it's going to be on the left side of the infield from David Peralta's perspective. And this is slowly hit to Nolan. There's one on to first. Not going to double up Peralta. He runs pretty well, and that ball was not hit that hard.
And you could tell that Nolan was not comfortable with the feet. He didn't quite know what to do. He was in between. Do I go underhand? Do I go overhand? But if I go overhand, I've got to throw it softer than what I'm used to over at third base.
5-6.
But just watch how Nolan stands up to throw this. You see how he kind of short-armed it, but stood up. And not his fault. I'm just saying it's just a different position for him to try to throw from.
And it's part of it's the byproduct of these shifts. So Nolan, and he grew up playing shortstop and then moved behind the plate, and obviously he's, in our mind, the best third baseman in baseball. But when he is throwing the ball to second to turn 2, I mean, he's up top because he's throwing the ball about 80 feet. Generally speaking, where he's feeling it. There, he's all of a sudden at shortstop, and he's not as accustomed to dropping his arm angle a little bit.
Well, the other thing, too, he's feeding Trevor at shortstop, who's
behind the bag.
Behind the bag like a second baseman. So there's a lot going on there. I'm not sure they would have turned it anyway because it wasn't hit hard enough.
Ball 1. And that's why it requires, Huey, a lot more work with these shifts. Throwing, turning to from the shift standpoint.
Different positions.
Yes. A little more conventional with Owings at the plate. He swung it well last night. Off the plate, 2-0. A couple of doubles last night. The only 2 extra base hits for Arizona owned by Owings yesterday.
Oh, he's 24 years of age, has played 281 major league games.
He arrived at a young age. And he expected to play in the infield, and he's been playing center field. He has one start at shortstop this year. 3-0. And Russin is being cautious. Not that you want to push a runner into scoring position. Greinke is batting 8th. Now, Greinke is a legit hitter, but he's not a position player.
It's once every 5 days. That's the difference. Even though he's a good hitting pitcher, still once a week.
And that's why we always add the disclaimer. He's a good hitting pitcher.
He did pinch hit in that, what, 13-inning affair they had the other day, last Sunday against Pittsburgh.
Everybody clap your hands.
3-2. Now he's gotten some strikeouts with the changeup. See if he goes changeup 3-2.
Might throw over once first to see if he maybe catch Peralta napping. Even with Mark Reynolds playing behind. A good call, Drew. They did call for the changeup.
We're in the second inning, no score. Rockies have threatened a couple of times against Greinke. Peralta at first with 2 gone.
Back-to-back changeups. No
Sinker.
Yeah, sinker fastball, maybe a cut fastball inside. Be careful, he's going to third.
He's going to go to third. Good hustle by Peralta. That'll be a pass ball on Nick.
And then Nick didn't go at it as hard as he should have. Fastball, cut fastball in, catches him on the thumb. It kicks off to the right. He starts going after it, just doesn't really bust it back to the baseball. Peralta's running hard, and then he realizes, uh-oh, he's going all the way to third.
So here's Greinke, 5 for 11 this year at the plate. And he takes ball 1. Greinke, since the All-Star break of last summer, is batting .359, 14 for 39, a double, 2 home runs. And a ground ball to short. And Story flips it to DJ to end the inning. A couple of walks in the inning, 2 men left on. We move to inning number 3. No score, Rockies and D-backs. Rockies left the top of the order. Second look at Zach Greinke. The Coors Light Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. How about this? Only Arizona, Colorado at home, Milwaukee, and St. Louis have more home runs in their own ballpark this season than the Rockies, 14 at Chase Field.
Well,
amazing.
When you have Trevor Story hitting 5 of those 14.
Really remarkable how well the Rockies have hit down here and hit against some good pitchers.
I think the other thing, and you mentioned it in our open, 5 of his 10 home runs that Trevor's hit have been over 425 feet. Last night's home run was 440 feet.
No wall scrapers.
Nope.
Charlie struck out on a slider in the dirt. Took a look at a few pitches from Greinke. He's patient again here. He's not swung at the fastball. Fell behind 1-2.
Only about
first at bat.
7 or 8% of the time does Charlie swing at the first pitch. Anyway.
And that ball is looped into left, a base hit. So the Rockies, for the second straight inning, will have the leadoff man on, and that's their 4th knock against Greinke. And now the running game becomes a factor, the other element of many that Charlie brings to the ballpark.
Even if he doesn't steal, it still diverts some attention from the pitcher to the guy at the plate. And when you have somebody as dangerous as Trevor with the bat at the plate, it just feeds into your offense.
Just got back in.
You see the quick feet of Greinke. And that's what sets up a pickoff move. It's a quick feet. The other part of this whole equation for Zach Greinke is where he holds the ball. It kind of hides it from the guy at first base. Just has it by his side. And they've been stalling to take a quick peek on the replay. Chip Hale says, no, he was safe. Let's keep going.
We saw the other day, John Gray has really quick feet, especially for a guy his size.
This is so Zach has the ball in his right hand, and that was always the toughest for a base stealer when the pitcher held it off to the side, because it could be a quick snap throw.
This ball is launched left center field, and it's going to be extra bases for Story. Blackman around third, gets a green light from Stu Cole. No throw. Ball skips in the outfield. Trevor Story delivers the Rockies' first run. He is personal enemy number 1 for Zach Greinke. He just can't get the kid out.
4th double for Trevor. And the good part about this is where it hit in the outfield, because it hit on the grass and not on the warning track. Because if it hits in the warning track, it's going to pop over the fence, but it catches the grass, it deadens it. That way it just hops into the wall and allowing Charlie to score from first.
You want to produce a nice slugging percentage? Check this out. Story has 23 hits now. 16 are extra base hits. Who needs singles?
Don't need them.
Called strike on Cargo. He had a base hit his first time up.
Trevor came in slugging .678. Got that all-important first run of the game, too.
Absolutely. Inside on Cargo, 1-1. 11 for 29 in his career against Greinke with 4 home runs. He sees him well.
And this sets up for him, too, to pull the ball.
It's what he wants to do at the end of his at-bat. At the very least, he wants Story at third base. Nobody out. Rockies have a run in. 2-1. Cargo in the early going of 2016 hitting better out on the road than he is at Coors Field. .343 average away from home. Story can fly. He's at second. Two and two. Cargo got maybe a little impatient on that pitch.
But Zach Greinke turned it over too. He threw that slower fastball by about 3 miles of what he normally averages.
And he strikes out Cargo on a curveball. 1 out. 4 strikeouts for Greinke. It'll bring up Nolan. Rockies fans, join in on the conversation. Send us your thoughts and photos, questions if you'd like. Use your favorite social media platform and include the hashtag #ToyotaTalk. Nolan had a base hit to left in the first inning. Speaking of social media, had the question last night from a fan: who are the 5 fastest Rockies? I didn't list 5, but I can tell you, based on conversations, based on eyeballs, that Trevor Story is the fastest Rocky, and I would think Charlie's not far behind.
So once they get running speed, the underway speed.
Story doubled in a run. Here's the 0-1.
Well, with the speed of Trevor, you don't have to worry about the arms as much. But in left field, Yasmani Tomas, average on the arm strength, below average accuracy. Chris Owings, an infielder, but still a strong arm. He has trouble when he goes left to right with the accuracy. But David Peralta in right field, that's the guy that has it plus across the board. But with Trevor's speed, I think unless it's just a sharp one hopper, you score.
Trevor with 18 runs batted in already. Nolan leading the club with 21.
For Nolan, that was those 21 RBIs, his 4th best in the National League.
Pardemois swing, 1-2.
And that's when you're thankful you don't make contact, because I've seen too many of those. You're half-hearted, you don't want to swing, dribblers back to the pitchers, and then you're mumbling under your breath to yourself as you're running down the line.
A lot of high-stress pitches in the first 3 innings for Greinke. And he got Arenado to chase. So 2 good sequences for Zach Greinke. Runner at second. He has Gonzalez and Arenado, and he strikes them both out. And now it'll be left to Gerardo Parra with 2 gone.
He had a feeling that Greinke was not going to come inside with the fastball after Nolan beat him last time.
That would have been a shock. Greinke with 5 strikeouts. Opening day in 4 innings, he struck out only 2. Parra bounced out to short his first time up.
Good news for the Rockies. They've already had 5 take chances with runners in scoring position. Well, the bad news, they're 0 for 5, but make that change right here, 1 for 6.
And Parra loops one to left. That'll drop. Around third comes Story. Throw to the plate is not going to get him. Good slide by Story. Parra read the throw into second. And the Rockies have a 2-0 lead. As you ordered, a 2-out base hit from Gerardo Parra.
Kind of come to expect it from him. Now 1 for 6, wasn't hit hard. We just had gone through the arms of the outfielder. Stu Cole knows this. 2 outs, you take the chance. Even with Tomas, as much momentum as he had coming home, it still took 2 hops to get the throw there. Now Gerardo 10 for 24, 417 with runners in scoring position.
Well, a couple things helped out there because it was a very good throw. One, there's 2 outs, so as soon as the ball's contacted, Story's taken off. And the other thing that we were talking about is Story can really go.
Cut the back really nice at third base.
2-0 Colorado. Reynolds doubled off and Parra is out at third. I thought for a moment, or he thought for a moment, he was going to catch Greinke napping, and that's not a wise play actually, because you have Reynolds at the plate. You're already in scoring position, and Reynolds, I was starting to say, nearly hit one out his first time up. 2-0 Colorado. Ball on Root Sports is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. And by Lodge Casino, pitching up a perfect game for cash every Friday and Saturday. Lodge Casino, your first choice for fun. I get tired of looking at Grand Canyon. 2-0 Rockies leading, bottom of the third inning. Nick Ahmed will lead it off. Well, Gerardo Parra, I'm sure, will go to Mark Reynolds and his teammates and said, hey, my bad. That a guy who plays as hard as Gerardo and as smart a player as he is, that was not a smart base running play a moment ago. You have Mark Reynolds up with 2 outs who just hit one. His last at bat 420 feet, and he doesn't get an opportunity to drive in another run.
And you're already in scoring position. You don't need to try to create something. That was just being overly aggressive. I mean, he had caught up in the euphoria of hitting that single to drive in a run. You're up 2. You got Zach Greinke thinking, oh man, now I got Reynolds. And then he kind of let him off the hook and let him catch his breath.
2-1 on Nick Ahmed. Yeah, I mean, Greinke's staring down the barrel of a guy that almost took him out to dead center field in the previous inning. And his psyche more fragile than it's been in quite some time with the start he's had. 3-1, 9-1-2. Segura's on deck. And a bouncer to DJ. Wow. He hesitated for a moment.
Not sure if he didn't have a grip on it or he was waiting. He almost waited too long.
Well, you assume, you know, Reynolds had to be at the bag. I was watching DJ.
Yeah, I was too.
This may have been he didn't get the ball out of his glove cleanly. He looked like he had it. Doesn't matter.
No, it's an out.
It's an
still
out.
4-3. Doesn't matter if you get him by 5 steps or half a step.
Here's Segura. And DJ's going to have another chance.
See, there's the 5 steps.
Right.
Thank you, DJ. Thanks, Chris, for that second ground ball.
Nice when it works out that way,
Yes,
when you're trying
is.
to make a point. And
almost on cue, they helped out.
that's right. Brandon Drury struck out his first time up. Good pitch, fastball on the outside corner for a strike. Change up away. It's 1-1. Brandon Drury played his high school baseball, dodging raindrops in Oregon. And this is toward Nolan, and he fires across in Nolan-esque fashion, and it's a 1-2-3 inning in the third for Russ, and Rockies leading 2-0. Consecutive victories, and they're scoring a lot of runs. Not that they typically need a lot of runs with that pitching staff. Rockies have pitched well so far in this series. Bunch of bagels on the board for Arizona. Mark Reynolds hit a double off the very top of the facade of the decking in center field his first time against Greinke. 2-0 Rockies. And he got a pitch out over the plate and fouled it back.
And that was in the same spot. He just fouled that ball off in the first inning. He hit the double. The base of the 413 sign in right center field.
And a called strike on the inside corner.
Mark wasn't happy with that, but it grazed the Subaru strike zone.
And this is hit to shallow center. Long run for a lot of guys. What a catch by Segura. I don't think I've ever seen that on a baseball field before at this level. Because of the shift, you had 4 guys. You see 3 guys converge a lot. You saw 4 guys converging, and Segura had the guts to still make the catch.
And I think he was the last guy I was looking at. I thought it'd be Ahmed, the shortstop, right here. Look at how close all 4 guys are when he catches that baseball.
That could have been an absolute disaster.
I just thought that was like 4 bowling pins that were going to go down at one time.
Nick Hundley walked his first time. Curveball for a strike. Looking at Nick's bat. Does that bat need a new paint job, Huey?
Probably. But you don't want to change things up if you feel good. He hit a home run last night.
Two outs. Well, fans, Nick Hundley walked earlier in the baseball game. Walking leads to a healthy lifestyle. UC Health is tracking the number of walks and the distance the Rockies earn throughout the season. Start tracking your own steps today to get fit. This season, the Rockies have walked 73 times, and that totals 6,570 feet. That's more than a mile, Huey. UC Health, the game changers in medicine. Absolutely, walking's healthy. It's healthy for your baseball team also. LeMahieu takes low, ball 1. A big welcome to one of our new sponsors, UC Health. Bat is a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike on DJ. Came up with runners at first and second in the second inning and thought he bounced one over the mound, but Greinke leaped, made a great play and turned it into a 1-6-3 double play. Rockies with the 9-0 victory last night snapped a 5-game losing streak. And there's a base hit toward the gap in left center field. This is going to be a double. And again, the Rockies, for the 7th time in the game, will take an at-bat with a runner in scoring position.
3rd double tonight for Colorado. Over the top curveball. One of Greinke's better pitches that he's thrown tonight, but not this time to DJ. Didn't have the bite on it, and he made him say, okay, you want to hang it? I'll go ahead, drill it to left center field.
Another opportunity for Chris Russin. Struck out with a runner at 3rd in the second.
Chris in his career's no slouch with the bat. .318 with runners in scoring position. For DJ, that was his 5th double this season.
Had a little bit of a lull, as all hitters do, about a week and change ago, but he doesn't stay down for very long. He's been swinging the bat great. Called strike. How about this? Now, Greinke's given up 2 runs tonight, so it's 23 earned runs this year, but coming into tonight, he'd given up 21 earned runs, obviously. he didn't give up his 21st earned run last year until July 26th. In his first 18 starts last year, he gave up 19 earned runs on his way to a 1.66 ERA. In 32 starts last year, for the whole year, he gave up 41 earned runs. He's given up 23 and counting in the month of April.
And that 1.66 ERA, that was the best single season ERA mark since 2000.
So DJ will be left at second base. The Rockies have had traffic in every inning, runners in scoring position in every inning. They're up 2-0, middle of fourth.
Bottom four, and I am standing in section 311 here, way up above first base. Wanted to give some love to the guys that are here from extended spring training at Salt River Fields. They are above me. Tony Diaz is here. I was talking to Jeff Briley today. About 50 or so guys when you include some of the big leaguers like Jason Mott, Adam Ottavino, and even Daniel Descalso. And Drew, you mentioned it yesterday. Descalso taking some ground balls, and I talked to him. He said he's been hitting off the tee. This week expects to get into some of the extended games where he'll be able to lead off basically every inning. It's kind of informal. Get some ABs under his belt and then go out on an assignment. But good to see some of the guys from the Rockies complex here.
Yeah, it's one of the great things about getting to come down to Arizona, where the guys get to go over to the ballpark and see the big leaguers, see where they want to go. And Tony Diaz, always upbeat, tremendous leader. There's Tony to the left of Paul Egan's. Paul's in the middle.
Well, you need a high energy guy down there in extended spring. Sometimes the days get long. It's like Groundhog Day. But now to be able to break it up and bring the kids over here and help them a little bit.
There's a base hit for Paul Goldschmidt, first base runner for Arizona. And Goldschmidt has now reached in 40 consecutive games against the Rockies.
Not going to keep him hitless for too long. It was a slider. He went down and got it.
I think I said first base runner. I meant first base hit. He had a couple walks last inning. Actually, in the second inning. Tomas, one of the guys who walked. Rockies up 2-0. They have out-hit the Diamondbacks 7-1. This is the 6th time this year that Tomas has hit cleanup.
That's how Chip will manipulate his lineup when there's a left-hander on the hill. He'll slide Tomas up and slide Peralta down.
Russin in his career 2-1, a 2.25 ERA in 3 starts against Arizona.
Just a 190 batting average for the Diamondbacks against Chris.
And this is in the air, well hit, right center field. Charlie hoping for a play, makes the catch right at the wall. Goldschmidt was all the way at second base, and he returns to first, 1 out. A long out off the bat of Yasmani Tomas.
Charlie tracking this baseball the whole way. Tomas has power the opposite field. We've seen that before. So he knows, and he readjusts his route. I like what he had to do there. He was starting to go across, checked out, see where the wall is, knows he has plenty of distance once he hits the warning track. Just saying thank you, because Goldschmidt had to retrace his steps, and now you still have the double play as a possibility to get out of the inning.
Castillo caught looking at an inside fastball in the second inning. One ball, no strikes on Castillo.
Chris was just reminding himself after the last pitch to make sure you finish. Get out in front and finish that curveball.
Two-0. Russin has been efficient in the first 3 innings. 56 pitches. A number somewhere in the neighborhood of 75, as Jeff told you earlier. If you get 5 innings and you replace Russin with the lead, he's done a heck of a job, not fully stretched out.
His last appearance against the Dodgers threw 41 pitches. The time before that he threw 4 innings, 44 pitches against Cincinnati. So that's why you can't ask him to throw 100 pitches.
2-1. He's done enough changing speeds to keep Arizona thus far off balance.
Speed and location.
And turned that pitch over. What we mean by that is it will work away from a right-handed hitter. Kind of dips at the end, which will induce some ground balls.
Sometimes it's just finger pressure that you put on the baseball. It's not so much the grip, but do you put more pressure on that middle finger? And that's why that was such a concern for him as he was going into spring training, because that's the last finger that's on the baseball when you release it.
3-2. Goldschmidt on that 3-2 pitch going to draw a throw. Casey was going to go first movement.
Just looking at Matt Williams, see the signs that he's relaying to Paul Goldschmidt. See if you can pick anything up. Sometimes it's if they put a hand on the belt, that means no go, or maybe cover the logo, the insignia on the cap.
Not going. And back up the middle. DJ, good play. Story on the first double play. What a turn by the Rockies to get off the field in the fourth. Not an easy play for DJ, because you're worried, aren't you, about the bag?
Yes, you are. You're worried if it's going to go off the bag, but once it doesn't, then you know you have to make a good flip because you have a big runner coming down. Trevor says, I've got this double play. Rocky's going to hit the fifth.
Here the Rockies are leading 2-0 over Arizona as we go to the fifth, and that was a nifty 4-6-3 to end the bottom of the fourth inning. And again, the Rockies will have the top of the order. This is how they began in the third inning, and it produced a couple of runs. Charlie led off with a single. Story had a run-scoring double, and then a 2-out single by Gerardo Parra added a run for Colorado. Rockies with 7 hits against Zach Greinke. Curveball for a strike. Really been the most effective pitch tonight, wouldn't you agree, for Greinke?
Totally. And he'll throw it at any count, whether it's leading off the inning or trying to finish off a hitter.
Yeah, a lot of guys will have to show me first pitch curveball to get me over curveball to get a strike, but won't utilize it in other counts. That's not the case with Greinke. 0-2, he's ahead of Charlie. Charlie, a .343 career hitter against Arizona. And he got him with a slider.
Second time tonight that Charlie has struck out on the same pitch. Very hard downward action, but it's really not unusual for Zach Greinke tonight because of the breakdown and what he's throwing. Just 48% of the time is he throwing the fastball. How about that? 37% of the time the breaking pitch, and then the off speeds at 17. Off speed more the changeup. But Zach, sometimes pitchers will go into the game, maybe they have it in the bullpen, they come out to the mound, they don't have it here. Other times they won't have it in the bullpen, they feel good out on the hill, and tonight you can tell he likes his curveball.
And well, he should. Ball one on Trevor Story, strikeout. And a double to left center field to drive in a run. It's a changeup, but it's inside. 2-0. And you knew there was no way he was getting a fastball. I mean, you're geared up for it, but there's no way he was going to get one.
Yeah, and for Trevor, he's thinking, well, he threw me a curveball last time. I hit it in the gap in left center field. Maybe he will try to throw me a fastball. But Zach says, no, I've been in this league too long. I'm not doing that. You can do damage with that pitch.
And that's well located on the outside corner, a fastball. And it's 2-2.
A perfect spot in the Subaru strike zone. Down and away, but catching the black.
Cargo on deck. Rockies up in the 5th, 2-0. And he got him on a curveball. 7 strikeouts for Greinke. Pretty much been one of two things, a hit or a strikeout.
That's how it started in the first inning. Well, mini plan started just 8 games and $111. Guarantee the Yankees and summer fireworks games with the 15-game pick-a plan. Pretty good deal. Fireworks and the Yankees.
Fireworks down here after the ball game last night. Cargo a base hit and a strikeout and a sinking fastball, and he swings over the top. 0-1. Cargo ropes one to center field, and that one is going to be a base hit. Cargo took a hard turn, as he should, and the ball almost eluded Chris Owens. He almost ran past it. So Cargo's 2 for 3 in his return to the lineup.
Another exit velocity, probably close to 100 miles an hour. Owens, that ball checked up in the grass. Cargo run. If that ball gets by, he just keeps going. Maybe even gets to third.
8 hits for the Rockies against Greinke. 2 outs in the 5th. Nolan, he has a base hit and a strikeout. Nolan's eyes lit up. You could see him from here when you get that high fastball.
Like you hit the jackpot. Eyes start to register home run. Up high. Oh, like, oh man.
He didn't almost come out of his shoes, as the cliche goes, but he did almost come out of his helmet.
That's when you hope your shoes are double laced and double tied.
1 ball, 1 strike. Story with the earlier double has 61 total bases. That leads the National League. Nolan is next at 60. If you're wondering, hey, where's Bryce Harper? He's got a bunch of home runs. He's got 55 total bases.
Neil Walker, 54.
Been on a tear in New York since coming from Pittsburgh. 2-1.
If you're Nolan right now, you have to be thinking, well, that fastball was for show inside.
Probably, even sit on something else here. Sit soft. Would you do that, Huey?
Sit on that curveball.
There it is. He saw it. And it's 3-1. There's some curveballs that are so good you can sit on it, you're not going to hit it. I think of like Kershaw's when he's on, which he typically is. 3-1 slider. Boy, I guess not. That was a fastball.
He shook to it. Castillo had asked for the slider.
So Cargo will be off with the pitch. 3-2 with 2 outs. Inside, ball 4. You can see Greinke's reaction. He wanted that pitch.
But where Castillo had set up and how far he had to reach back, it just gives the illusion to the umpire that's not close. I mean, that missed its spot, and I know that Castillo tried to frame it, but it's not in the Subaru strike zone. Greinke was begging there.
And now Gerardo Parra, who with 2 outs in the 3rd inning delivered a base hit to left to score a run. Another opportunity for Parra. He got a pitch to hit there, and he fouled it straight back. That's what he's thinking. Man, that was a good one.
But in the 3rd, flared a single to left in front of Tomas, scoring Trevor from second base, who had doubled earlier. Take another one of those or another double, either way.
Anything that resembles that. Parra has brought so much to this Rockies team on the field, in the clubhouse, his enthusiasm, his professionalism. Walt was gushing in praise of Parra before the ball game tonight.
And the hard thing for a player coming into a new situation is to be in one of those roles. Sometimes it takes a year or two to feel comfortable in your locker room and the guys you're around, they've been here before.
And especially being outspoken. Here's specifically what Walt had to say about Parra.
It's been a pleasant surprise what he's brought in the clubhouse, and how he's been a big part of changing the culture and the atmosphere in there. Which has been very positive.
That's a strike. It's 0-2. One of the things he added after that was that he's one of those guys that you don't see very frequently in the game today. He's not afraid to get after a teammate in a positive way to tell him to pick it up if it's necessary. And a lot of guys, back when you played, back when Walt played, guys would do that all the time.
You're more worried about your teammates than you were the manager getting on you. Your teammates, if they started to jump down your throat, you knew you better pick it up, because then the next thing you were going to get was the call from the manager saying you're out of here.
But there are certain guys that can do it, and Parra has the utmost respect of all his teammates. Not only respect, but he's exceptionally well liked. So he's able to do that, and it's received properly. And that's unusual, to your point, the guy who just arrived a couple of months ago. It's not like, well, he has, 3, 4, 5 years with all these guys.
Came up in the system.
One and 2. Cargo at second, Nolan at first. And another curveball in the dirt. Rockies have had at least 2 men on in 4 out of the 5 innings. The 1 inning they didn't was the 4th inning, and they had a 2-out double from DJ. So they've had runners in scoring position in every single inning.
And those are high stress innings for the pitcher.
Which you'd like, because the Rockies have dominated, is to get even larger separation clearly. Have Gerardo throw out one of his patented doubles. And now it's full 3-2 with Reynolds on deck.
Just kind of watching the body language of Zach Greinke.
Not the confident guy who had a 166 last year.
And that was the best since Pedro Martinez had a 174 with Boston in 2000. That 166 ERA.
Well, it's even better than the 174, so
Yeah,
you have to go further back than that.
I mean, that's just the top one since 2000.
Yeah.
The 166.
3-2, line drive, left field, get down. Oh, bad luck. Parra hit it on the screws, but he hit it too well, and Tomas makes the catch to end the inning, and the Rockies leave 2 on. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th. Colorado 2, Arizona nothing. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. It's a cool night, especially by late April standards in the Valley of the Sun. Temperature in the mid-70s. Rockies cooled off Arizona. They're up 2-0. They won 9-0 last night. Drew Goodman with Jeff Hewson and Mark Stout. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. David Peralta hitting 6th tonight. Then Chris Owings and Zach Greinke against Chris Russin. Russin has allowed 3 base runners, 2 walks, and a base hit. Goldschmidt, the only hit that came last inning. And a curveball for a strike from Russin.
For Chris, he's up to 13 2/3 scoreless.
And Arizona has not scored in 17 innings. Ground ball right at Trevor Story. Positioned up the middle, 1 out. You can't keep the yard goats down. Maybe the most talented team in minor league baseball, and the Rockies' number 3 ranked prospect, according to MLB.com and Baseball America. He is 8th home run. Good looking center fielder out of the state of Alabama. Chris Owings walked his first time on a 3-2 pitch. Set up inside, and the fastball just beneath the knees, ball 1. And keep that streak going.
Hartford beat the Flying Squirrels again tonight of Richmond.
I told you last night, Huey.
The Yard Goats are going to beat the Flying Squirrels.
Yard Goats. It's like an episode of Cheers. Yard Goats should beat Flying Squirrels. Remember, a bear would beat a dolphin.
Kind of like paper, rocks, and scissors. Is that what you say?
3-0. Following what Shelley Long said. It's always nice when you can work in a little Cheers, huh?
Always. Because we go to Boston, I think, in 3 weeks.
Coming up.
24th, 25th, 26th of May.
I'll buy you some chata.
Yeah.
That's a strike cutter. 3-2. Do you want to stick to that plan that you'd come up with where we do the whole broadcast in a New England accent?
No.
I don't think people would appreciate that. Another walk to Owings.
On May 9th is Purple Monday, where Purple win prizes, and the first 5,000 fans will receive a Colorado Rockies ladies scarf to the first 5,000 fans. It's these Arizona Diamondbacks again.
So Greinke at the plate, grounded out to short with a couple runners on, first and third. The only threat put together by Arizona. That came in the second inning.
Doug Marino has done some research just this year. The pitcher batting 8th or batting 9th. If he bats 9th, teams are averaging almost a half a run, over a half a run more per game than if they were hitting 8th. The win percentage .468. Pitcher batting 8th are 29 and 33. Pitcher batting 9th, 143 and 139. So a .507 winning percentage.
Next pitch, number 70 for Russin.
We hope he can get the double play, get out of here with the 5 innings so he is eligible for the win when he leaves. And that's kind of looking at both of that if you're Walt, but you also have to get up Justin Miller, reliever, in case there is some traffic, there's trouble. Get a ground ball double play. Make it easy.
Strike 3 on Greinke. That'll work also. 2 outs. And shortstop Nick Ahmed will come up.
Shortstop Nick Ahmed.
That is the 5th strikeout for Russin. Justin Miller up in the Rockies pen just in case. Steve Foster and Walt Weiss deliberating. Good pitch.
Where's that?
And that's why Chris put the glove over his mouth, because he was saying at least the same thing. It caught a little portion of that Subaru strike zone. You can tell a catcher really wants a pitch when he holds it that long. It's ways of delivering messages. In fairness, Toby Bassner's been good behind the plate tonight. Very good. Good strike zone. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He's been consistent with it since the first pitch. That's all anybody asks for, is consistency. Don't be changing it by how the game is going.
rolls over the top of that. Diamondbacks just 5-10 on their home floor. Rockies have struggled at home as well. 4-8 at Coors Field. 6-4 though out on the road. 1-2 with 2 outs. Russin reached back for a little extra, hoping to end the inning. He probably knows this is going to be the end of the line for him.
He's at 75 pitches, 43 strikes.
Strike 3, got him. On the outside corner, he freezes Ahmed. What a job by Chris Russin tonight. 5 shutout innings, 6 strikeouts. He's allowed just 1 hit. And he leads the mound right now with the Rockies up 2-0. He walked 3, allowed 1 hit, did not allow a run in a spot start tonight. What a job by Chris Russin, especially if his night is done with the Rockies up 2-0. He did everything Walt Weiss could have asked and more.
And that's because you come into this game, and we were talking to Walt in the dugout, said, what do you hope tonight for Chris Russin? He said, man, 75 pitches. He's right on the money, 5-76.
Well, he would have added with a lead.
With a lead,
and
yes.
the other team has nothing, which is a
and
bigger
1 hit.
bonus. He's been terrific, and now the Rockies hope to build on it because they've swung the bat better than a 2-0 lead would indicate against Zach Greinke.
They have 7 hits tonight, or excuse me, 8 hits tonight, 3 doubles, and they've made him work on every single pitch.
Carlos Estevez is now throwing in the Rockies bullpen.
And you're saying, wait a second, why does Chris still have the batting gloves and the helmet? Well, you don't know how this inning he might be asked to bunt.
Reynolds went around, 1 ball, 1 strike. Reynolds a double. And then he hit a pop-up in no man's land in left center field against the shift. 4 guys converged on it. And it was Segura, the second baseman, making a fine catch. 2-1. And this is down the right field line. Peralta chasing, and it's out of play. Here's that pop-up we were discussing. Look at this. Segura and Ahmed almost ran each other over.
And I thought Ahmed had the better angle to catch that baseball. It's a harder play for the guy that's running, trying to catch it across his body instead of more of the basket style catch.
And amazingly and fortunately, there wasn't a big collision. Tomas and Owings closing quickly. 2-2. Strike 3. 8 strikeouts for Greinke. He has done that tonight. But the Rockies have 8 hits.
Catcher, Nick Huntley.
One out in the bottom of the 6th. Sam Moll coming in. The Isotopes just tweeted out. Jordan Lyles, 5 1/3 tonight. Jordan sent out, struggling in the month of April, sent out earlier in the week.
Albuquerque currently up 2-1, top of the 7th. Chris Nelson with a couple hits tonight for Albuquerque, 2 for 3.
1 ball, 1 strike. Chris done a really solid job in his return to the Rockies organization.
Jordan Patterson 1 for 3, hitting .314.
Yeah, Jordan Patterson's been great. He had a really good spring. Good looking outfielder. Out of South Alabama. That's a strike. 1 and 2.
They're matched up against the Reno Aces, so you have the big clubs playing against each other and also the AAA clubs. Reno's a AAA affiliate of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
1-2. And Nick punches a ground ball that's fair, and good job by Goldschmidt because he was way over in the hole with the shift on. And he got there and got it to Greinke. 3-1 is how you score it. 2 outs, nobody on. That'll bring up LeMahieu. DJ with 2 outs and nobody on in the 4th inning, doubled to left center field. On the corner. And this ball's hit well right center field, going back on the warning track to make the catch is Peralta. And the Rockies done in the 6th inning. That's the first time they've gone down in order against Greinke tonight. Middle of 6, Colorado leading the Diamondbacks 2-0. Time for our Kubota pitching performance of the night, and it's got to be the work of Chris Russin. He's outdueled Zach Greinke, and he is gone after 5 innings, which was expected. He was going to throw in the 75 pitch range. He threw 76. No runs, 1 hit. Paul Goldschmidt, a single to left. That's it. He walked 3, struck out 6. Chris Russin on a roll. Remember, Russin came in with a shutout streak going, and the 29-year-old added 5 more innings to his shutout run. He's now at 14 2/3. Carlos Estevez will take over, and it'll be the top of the order: Gene Segura, Brandon Drury, and Paul Goldschmidt. Hard throwing young man from Santo Domingo, and there's a good-looking fastball at 95 for strike 1.
And he's had a couple days off since Wednesday's performance against Pittsburgh, where he was out there for 2 innings. He ended up taking the loss in that game, but pitched very well.
And there's 97. How do you like that? It's 0-2.
One final thought on Chris tonight. He also had 7 ground ball outs.
It's terrific. Oh-2. 88-mile-an-hour slider in the dirt, 1-2. Here's something that's interesting about Russin. Chris, since he came to Colorado, has pitched better at home, a lot better. He hasn't won a game on the road since August 9, 2013, when he was pitching with the Cubs and he beat the Cardinals 3-0 in a 6-inning outing. There's a chance to break that string tonight. This is bounced up the middle with eyes, and it's a base hit for Segura. And that ties the club record in April for Arizona for most hits. 37. The O-Dog, Orlando Hudson, had 37 in April of 08. And there's the list. Matt Williams now coaching 3rd. I said 08, actually 07. Matt Williams, after a stint as the manager of the Nationals, back with the Diamondbacks. Heavy fastball for a strike on Drury. There's Williams.
And Matt was here as a 3rd base coach before he left to go manage the Washington Nationals. So it's a easy transition coming back here.
Mark Grace was complaining to us yesterday that since Matt's come back, he's leading the coaches' workouts, and he's been more of a drill sergeant than Gracie
would like.
Would like.
I think that's an understatement. All the coaches work out together, do some running.
Yeah, Mark's a funny guy. 2-1. Drury's been a tough out lately. Last 11, hitting .357. And we have a tie game. Just like that, Segura base hit. Brandon Drury, his 4th home run of the year. And it's 2-2.
They keep finding a way to get Brandon Drury in the ball game because of the home run pop that he has. 4-seam fastball on the Subaru Supermo, and you miss that much and that far inside, Major League hitter will make you pay, and Brandon Drury did. As soon as he hit it, there's no doubt about it.
Goldschmidt with a 1-0, and it's 2-0. Well, Chris Russin did his part. He's going to get a no decision. And with all the opportunities the Rockies were throwing out there, we had talked about it. You just hope that they were able to keep adding on and build on that 2-run lead they had fairly early. They're just 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight. They'll have to get back after it. It's now 2-2, and it's 2-0 on Goldschmidt. Estevez has to refocus, and Carlos does with that fastball.
You can't lose your concentration. This runner-up to the MVP last year.
A couple times in his career. Estevez with a slider for a strike. 2-2. Paul, a career .290 hitter in April, struggling this April, and that is caught by Reynolds. That's the second time he has made a diving catch in the last week, playing in a shift spot where he's the only guy basically on the right side of the infield.
And he knows that he has to dive for this. And the one against Pittsburgh was hit harder. This one was softer, but it was further away from him. When he ends up with this, he's more in the second base range, where a second baseman would be. I mean, not that close to the grass, but directionally from home plate.
Terrific play for the first out, and a strike on Yasmani Tomas. A walk and a fly ball to deep center field, right center to be more specific, and it was hauled in out there by Charlie Blackmon. 0-2. And Estevez got in the kitchen. It's popped up. LeMahieu's got it for the second out. The Rockies' upcoming home schedule brought to you by Remax. The Diamondbacks will be in town. 3-game set will be on the tube Monday and Tuesday. No television Wednesday afternoon. And then the Mets come a-calling beginning on May 13th. That Thursday, May 12th, the first off day for the Rockies after playing 20 in a row. Well, actually, they had the rain out the other day, but the first scheduled off day. And you see the schedule for the Mets on that weekend set. Fastball a little too tall. Ball 1 on Castillo. The matchup tomorrow in New York. Now the weather's not supposed to be great. The Mets going for a sweep with Noah Syndergaard on the mound, and the Giants are countering with Mad Bum.
You get Thor against Mad Bum.
Thor against Mad Bum. It's like a battle of superheroes.
They both pitch like they are at times.
Yes, they do. Ball and a strike on Castillo, a strikeout, and a 4-6-3 double play. Good pitch. 96 on the black. Didn't chase the slider there. 2-2. A 2-run home run by Brandon Drury to tie the game ended a 17-inning scoreless drought for Arizona. Shallow center field. Blackmon's got it, but we're all even through 6 innings. We'll go to the 7th. The Rockies 2, the Diamondbacks 2.
To the 7th, and Trevor Story is due up 3rd in this inning. He has had some kind of an April. The rookie with 10 home runs. He joins an exclusive Rockies list. He becomes the 14th different Rocky. Look at this, to hit double-digit home runs in a single month. And that has happened 29 times in the history of the franchise. If you're wondering the most in any single month, that was 15 by Troy Tulowitzki, September 2010. That was that huge month by Tulo. But Nolan's in there again this month, and so is Trevor Story, guys, and he's due up 3rd.
Well, Story after Blackman, and it'll be Christian Adames marked to pinch hit for Carlos Estevez in a 2-2 game here in the 7th inning.
Adames 2 for 8 pinch hitting, but those 2 hits have come when he's been swinging the bat left-handed.
And he's been swinging the bat well. Greinke has allowed 8 hits. He has struck out 8. Rockies have had traffic in every inning save the 6th inning, when he retired them in order. Colorado, however, just 1 of 8 with runners in scoring position. Yeah, I think back to that ball that Parra hit with Nolan and Cargo aboard. A bullet to left that looked like it was going to produce at least 1 more run, if not 2. But Tomas was positioned perfectly and was hit so hard it stayed in the air long enough for him to make a play.
And you can also go back to the 2nd inning with that double play that Greinke went up high to get to start the double play, because you had 1st and 2nd, nobody out in that inning.
So that'll bring up Blackman with 1 out.
Center fielder, Charlie Blackman.
Charlie's going to hit home runs. He's a guy that's going to hit 15 to 20 home runs. Looking for number 1 this year. Just came off the disabled list last night. Now would be apropos.
Good a time as any. Zach Greinke on the season has given up 5 home runs. 3 of them coming to left-handed batters.
Gave up 3 on opening day to the Rockies. And that's fouled off. He's gotten him on breaking pitches twice tonight. Charlie singled in the 3rd and scored. Struck out on a slider in the 1st and the 5th. The Topes in the first game of a doubleheader went 2-1 against the Reno Aces.
And Jordan Lyles indeed did pick up the win.
Fouled off the foot of Charlie. You don't want to see that. With what he's dealt with. Looks to be okay. Next pitch, number 100 for Greinke. And Zach is due up 3rd next inning for Arizona. 2 outs.
Well, Coors Field's a great place for group outings. Groups of 25 or more receive discounted pricing, scoreboard recognition, and other great benefits. Call today for more information and get your group on.
Trevor Story making his way to the plate. 2 outs, nobody on. Story a strikeout, a run scoring double to deep left center, and a strikeout in the 5th.
Because Greinke's where he is at pitch count, up third. Next thing, Tyler Clippard is warming up in the D-backs bullpen.
Well located on the outer edge. Strike 1. Story is the first rookie middle infielder to hit 10 home runs in any month of their first-year campaign.
Oh.
You got a pitch to
Yes,
hit there.
he did.
Sliders off the plate, 1 and 2. Cargo on deck, hoping for an opportunity this inning. He's got a couple of hits. One, 2.
He has to go back to the slider now.
Well, this year, and it's probably stayed true tonight, against his fastball, the league's hitting .386. That's amazing. It's the 3rd highest batting average against a fastball in baseball this year. Here's a 2-2. And Story pulls it, and it was caught in the air. So Greinke, if he is done, he's due up 3rd, leaves having retired 7 in a row. Stretch time in Arizona, 2 apiece. New episode of the club. We've got a unique countdown of the top 5 moments from the month of April. A special guest from the 2007 World Series team, and this year's first look at the good, the bad, and the Spilly and Sully. It's all the best from the first month of 2016. It's tomorrow on the club. With Jeff Houston and Mark Stout, I'm Drew Goodman. Germain is in the ball game now. Gonzalez Germain, third pitcher for the Rockies tonight. 5 shutout innings from Russin. Estevez gave up a single and a 2-run home run to Brandon Drury that tied the game. David Peralta, Chris Owings, and we shall see. Greinke scheduled to hit third this inning. Germain called up from Albuquerque. He was doing a good job closing games down there. And he goes changeup on the first delivery to the free swinging Peralta, and it's 0-1.
And he pitched last night in this 7th inning. Pitched to Brandon Drury, struck him out. Chris Owings hit a line drive to center field, 2/3 of an inning, and a strikeout for Gonzalez.
And that's a good looking heater. 0-2. One thing it's been pretty evident how Walt's used him. He's able to bounce back, as you're describing, pretty quickly, Huey.
He's got one of those arms that just doesn't seem to tire. You can ask him to pitch an inning in 2/3 if need be, or pitch back to back days.
And this ball's in the air to center, and Charlie closed in a hurry and made the catch. Wasn't sure off the bat if he'd be able to get there, 1 out.
Center fielder, Chris Owings.
Gonzalez Germain, as he gets ready to face Chris Owings, was one of those guys that almost made the club out of spring training. He had a terrific spring. He had 11 appearances in the spring. He saved a ball game in 10 in the 3rd innings. He struck out 9 and had a 1.74 ERA.
But he didn't, and it went down to Albuquerque, 3 for 3 in saves. So he did what he needed to do in case there was an injury, and then you get the recall.
Again, Charlie makes the play, 2 outs. And Arizona will go to their bench. They're going to go with Jake Lamb, or they're going to go, yeah, it is Jake Lamb.
Lamb 0 for 5 last night, 1 for 3 this season pinch hitting.
Good pitch. Rockies picked up Germain last year. He was claimed off waivers from the Cubs in July. And that runs back over at 94, and it's 0-2. Just like his demeanor on the mound. I like how aggressive he is, Huey.
I like the fastball and the movement. I mean, that's what you're looking for, and I think that's what the Rockies were striving for coming out of spring training. Try to load up on the power arms in the bullpen.
Want that fastball up and in. 1-2. Two balls, 2 strikes on the pitch hitter, Jake Lamb. In the air, deep right center field, but playable for Cargo. Shy of the track. He's got it. 3 fly balls out. And we go to the 8th inning. Rockies 2, Diamondbacks 2. Cargo, Nolan, Gerardo. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Wells Fargo, customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. And by Volkswagen. We're in Phoenix. It's game 2 of a 3-game set. The Rockies and Diamondbacks. Game 2 of a 10-game road trip for the Rockies. They had a 2-0 lead, and then a 2-run home run from Brandon Drury against Carlos Estevez. Got the Diamondbacks even. They're going to send Daniel Hudson to the mound here in the top of the 8th. Cargo, Nolan Arenado, Gerardo Parra against Hudson, who's been lights out so far this year for the Diamondbacks. Hudson, 10 2/3 innings, has allowed just 1 run. 9 of his 10 appearances have been scoreless.
In the .059 batting average against, second best in the National League. WHIP .338. That's also second in the National League. ERA. He's got a lot of glowing numbers, does Daniel Hudson.
Yeah, he's allowed only 2 hits this year. Here's Cargo. He's 2 for 3 tonight. And he's allowed 3 hits.
There you go. That's
so the Rockies have the go-ahead man on in the top of the 8th.
That's the way you greet the reliever. As Nolan comes to the plate, it's a good chance to remind you fans that the 2016 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot is here. Head to Rockies.com/vote to choose your stars and send them to the All-Star Game on July 12th in San Diego. Get the vote out for Nolan right now. And your other Rockies players, but Nolan, looking at his numbers, 287, 10 home runs, 21 RBIs.
I don't know what he's thinking about tonight. He hasn't hit a home run yet. 3 straight games with a home run. It's the 3rd time in his career he's had a stretch of at least 3 straight games where he's hit a home run. Last year he had a stretch of 6 straight games in which he homered.
Yeah, September 1st through the 5th. Should say the 6th, because that would be 6 days.
Unless there was a doubleheader in there, which you don't have a lot of.
I don't have to remember. Yeah, I don't think there was.
1-1 on Arenado. Hudson, a former starting pitcher. And a called strike.
Well, they moved him to the relieving role because he had consecutive years where he had Tommy John surgery. Still able to throw the hard slider. It was at the bottom of the Subaru strike zone.
He's only the 4th pitcher in history to have Tommy John surgeries in consecutive years and return to the major league level. It's some kind of story. And a called strike 3.
Yeah, I can see why Nolan has the beef. That's a ball inside. He's just telling him it's not a strike.
I've said it so many times. Hitters at this level know the strike zone so well, especially Nolan. You're talking about a guy this year is one of the toughest guys in baseball to strike out. That was, you know, a ball or so inside. Here's Parra. This ball is in the air to center, and coming on is Owens. 2 outs. The day after every Rockies win, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. You can do that tonight. Use the promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. Parra with a 6-game hitting streak. As he checks out, and Reynolds will come up. Mark a double off the Can't even call it the center field wall. It's that
Yeah, because it's not really.
part that juts out. Folks can sit out there in center field.
Like the overhang in Old Tiger Stadium. Well, the right field overhang would sit partially into the field of play.
Whoa, that's an ugly throw. And Cargo's going to move to scoring position. Thank you, Daniel Hudson. Usually when there's an errant pickoff throw, Huey, it's in the dirt. This one was 6 feet over the head of Paul Goldschmidt.
And Goldschmidt's 6'4", so you know it's got to be way over his head if he's not able to catch it. I mean, that's...
All right, maybe not 6 feet, but you get the point.
Well, by the time he jumped and reached his glove up there, he been first error of the season for Daniel Hudson. You don't need Reynolds to hit one way out into the gap. A bloop will work, a broken bat, an error. Just get this run in.
I want to know on Mark Reynolds. Cargo looking over his left shoulder to check on Segura. One and one. Two outs in the 8th. And now that pitch misses. It's 3-1. Nick Hundley on deck. Wellington Castillo trying to get on the same page with Daniel Hudson now jog out.
Just saying, you want to go with the fastball or slider? What do you feel comfortable throwing? Hudson's fastball is 96 to 97. Slider, as we've seen, is around 88 miles an hour.
Three-one. They go change up, and it's ball 4. So Hundley will come up.
This is pitch option number 3 for Hudson. The change up.
Interesting choice, huh?
It is, because if the old line is, if you're going to get beat with your best stuff. But then take the walk, and Nick comes to the plate 3 for 10 lifetime against Daniel.
He took Robbie Ray deep last night. Chad Qualls up and throwing in the Rockies bullpen. 2 outs. Cargo at second, Reynolds at first. Inside, Ball one.
Here is the home run off Robbie Ray last night. It's over the wall in left field in the 4th row.
And it's 2-0. LeMahieu on deck. Rockies got 2 in the 3rd, a double by Story to score Blackman, who had singled, and then a 2-out base hit by Gerardo Parra to bring home Trevor Story. (2-0) for Hundley. Now they are dangerous top to bottom, Cody.
I was talking about that with the scout today in the lunchroom. He just said this lineup there's really no easy break in it for a pitcher.
Cargo at second. He's had a 3-hit night. Reynolds been on a couple times. 2-1. And a bouncing ball to short. And that'll end the inning. So we'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Again, the Rockies leave runners in scoring position. We're tied at 2. Lead, and then a 2-run home run from Brandon Drury in the 6th inning tied it for Arizona. We go to the bottom of the 8th, tied at 2, despite the fact that the Rockies have out-hit Arizona 9-3. It's time for our CenturyLink What's Next. Tomorrow, the Sunday matchup, Chad Bettis, who's pitched beautiful baseball this year, will be opposed by Shelby Miller. And the 2 big acquisitions, we talked so much about Zach Greinke naturally tonight with him being on the hill and his struggles. Well, Shelby Miller, coming from Atlanta in a big deal, has an ERA close to 9, and he's walked 15 guys. So he's not pitched as Arizona would have hoped in the early going. Chad Qualls, scoreless in his last 5 outings, will take the baseball here in the bottom of the 8th. Nick Ahmed, then the top of the order, Segura and Drury.
He's had 3 days off since pitching an inning in the Pittsburgh series on the 27th.
Here's the super sinker for a strike.
He went. Check him. No? Come on, Jordan. Side's the best view. That's a 50-50. You'd be looking at it from there.
Well, that's got to be a strike, no? Close. Just off the plate. 1-2, or excuse me, 2-1. Looks like Chad's had that glove for a while. What do you think, Huey?
I think so. One of those just feels comfortable on my hand gloves. I'm not getting rid of it. I don't want a new one. Yeah, that's been there.
Been repaired a couple times.
One of those gloves that the only time it comes out is after the national anthem is played. Not out for batting practice.
Three and 2. On his 50th career game recently. That's the most wins of any active reliever. And there's the ground ball. 2 hops to Story. That'll bring up Gene Segura. Segura base hit in the 6th inning in front of the home run by Brandon Drury.
Hitting .336 as we head in to the month of May tomorrow. He's 9th in the National League.
The slider's just off the plate. Two 2-0 on Segura.
Immediately after that last pitch, Chad says, I don't want that baseball. Get rid of it. Give me a new one.
Segura taking the whole way. 2-1. Another big chopper, and that's a good job by Story. You got to come get that hop, don't you, Huey?
Great read by Trevor. Don't sit back. Don't wait for that second hop to eat you up. Come get it, and he did. So he's on the balls of his feet, and now he makes a decision. I go get it, and then I also close down the ground that I have to make the throw over to first with the quick runner in Segura.
Here's Brandon Drury, the reason this game is tied. Drury took a 2-1 fastball from Carlos Estevez at 97 and hit it deep into the seats and left.
Carlos wanted the fastball away, came back inside, and Brandon Drury beat him to the spot.
He went that time, according to Jordan Baker. 2 strikes on Drury. Rockies will see Brad Ziegler in the 9th inning. And he did go.
But that's like the one Ahmed had, the same distance.
Rockies will have LeMahieu, the pinch hitter, and then Charlie Blackmon. Could be Paulson, could be Rayburn. as the closer for Arizona.
Maybe Bazzer says, I'm all right, but Nick with the courtesy walk. Clear look on the Subaru Supermo.
One-two on Drury. 2-2. And Story has a chance for the third time in the inning. And that is all for the Diamondbacks. Another strong outing for Qualls. He gets 3 ground ball outs. We'll go to the 9th. LeMahieu will lead it off. A big hit other than Parra's 2-out single. 1 for 9 runners in scoring position. DJ LeMahieu against the sidewinder Brad Ziegler. And one of the strengths of this Diamondback team in the month of April, they've swung the bat well, and at the very back end of their bullpen, Hudson's been good, Ziegler's been good.
9 out of the last 10 times Ziegler's been out there has been scoreless, has converted a club record 33 consecutive saves. This isn't a save situation, but you bring your closer in, as we talk about, if it's tied up in the 9th inning. But I will say this, though. He is giving up some hits, and he's only retired 5 out of 11 first batters he's faced this year.
He's walked a few guys also. And this ball is on the ground. A short, easy play for Ahmed.
Well, Fan Fridays are new in 2016, and the next Fan Friday of the year is May 13th. The first 20,000 fans will receive a Fan Friday tote bag courtesy of MLB Network.
Ben Paulson will be the pinch hitter. Paulson's 3 for 8. Actually, you know what? He's 0 for 2. Let me correct that. I was looking at Ryan Rayburn. Strike at the knees.
It's the first time for Benny to face Ziegler.
So he'll throw the changeup from that arm angle, which is really tough.
Another thing for a hitter too, because he does try to get you out on your front foot. You just spread out. Just think about using your hands. Don't throw a lot of body into your swing.
There's a lot of body in that one. Stay fair. It hooks, foul.
Needed body English on that one.
This is not a guy that gives up many home runs. None this year, just 3 last year.
But he's out in front because it's the changeup. Circle change from coming down under. This caused him to hook it.
Doubled up on the changeup, misses away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And that is a base hit for Ben.
Stay hot, Ben.
Just a good hitter. And he always brings a calmness to the plate. 1 out, 1 on.
Center fielder,
Top of the 9th, Charlie Blackmon coming up in a 2-2 ball game.
Well, he hooked the changeup. Foul. This time he stays on the fastball. Even with Segura playing rover in right center field, Ben hits it over the top of him.
Charlie tonight 1 for 4, a single and a run scored back in the 3rd.
Charlie 2 for 10 lifetime. Couple strikeouts against Brad.
Story watching in the on deck circle, trying to get a game plan together for Ziegler. And a ground ball through the left side, base hit. So the Rockies have the go ahead run in scoring position. Back-to-back singles. And that'll bring up Story.
Second hit tonight for Charlie.
And he had a couple of hits last night.
This is just a good piece of hitting from Charlie. Ziegler wants you to pull the baseball, but Charlie doesn't. He knows there's a big hole in between short and third, and he lets the ball get deep on him and travel to hit it the other way. And then something that I just saw off camera is Charlie was looking at Ben, even after the base hit. He was immediately telling Ben, see right now, he's saying freeze on the line drive. It's my at bat's over, now I become a base runner.
It's reminding him there's 1 out. So here comes Story. Doubled in a run earlier. And he takes a strike. Justin Miller if the game remains tied. Jake McGee if the Rockies take the lead. Oh, 1. 1-1. It's the first time Story has faced Ziegler. Didn't see him in that opening series when the Rockies won 2 out of 3. One. And that's on the outer edge. Trevor thought it was down.
Ziegler Goes in, and then he goes out.
That's a huge strike call. It's
Well,
a borderline pitch. It's
that flip pitch.
Yep.
Instead of being 2-1, it's 1-2.
And now you're in a slider count or a changeup count with Ziegler. Cargo on deck. Story did a good job covering a tough pitch there, Huey.
Just you're hoping when you swing that you're just going to be able to foul it off. And that's what Trevor did. See how much he had to open that foot up just to even get there?
Rockies threatening here in the ninth in a 2-2 ball game. They've had 11 hits to Arizona's 3. And that slice to right, fair ball down the right field line. Paulson will score easily, and it kicks around back there. Peralta having trouble all the way to third. Story. It's a 2-run triple, and the Rockies lead it 4-2. Write another chapter in Arizona, Trevor.
20 RBIs on the season for the young Trevor Story. I don't know how this story is going to end, but I know how it begins with a glorious month of April and a lot of the damage being done here in Arizona.
I have a feeling it ain't going to end for a long time. What a piece of hitting.
Well, inside out that pitch from Ziegler after fouling the previous pitch off.
And the Rockies are doing it against the Arizona closer, Brad Ziegler, who'd been lights out this year. Now Cargo with the infield in. He can make it a 3-run game. Cargo's had a big night, 3 for 4. All singles. The Trevor ending story.
I like the play on words, Colin.
There's a calmness right now to Cargo. It's helped that he's had 2 days off. Running into a little fatigue. Got the average back to 330. Two balls and a strike. So Story's tied for the league lead in home runs. We know that. He's also tied for the league lead in triples.
And now he's 5th in the National League in RBIs with 20.
3-1. Ziegler does not want to come anywhere near the strike zone with Cargo. That's pretty evident.
Him?
No, I don't blame him.
But then you have this guy on deck.
Yep, good luck to you.
Now they're just going to
put him on. So Cargo intentionally passed.
We're going to have a pitch by pitch from Ziegler to Trevor Story to see how this ended. First one was a called strike inside. Ball low, 1-1, then a strike on the outer black. 1-2. Tough pitch to foul off here. But then pitch number 5 says, thank you very much. I'll inside out for a triple, 2 more runs. And the lead for the Rockies. This kid continues to amaze.
Big hits, too. Gave the Rockies a lead against Greinke in the 3rd with a double, and now he gives them a 2-run lead with that triple slice to right field. 1st and 3rd. 1 out. Here's Nolan. And he drives it to left, but he's turned on it, and it's into the seats foul. Now the only man standing in the Rockies' pen, Jake McGee. Ground ball through the left side, base hit, make it 5-2. Come on down, Trevor Story. And Nolan has his 22nd RBI. 5-2 Colorado.
And there's no better feeling for a hitter after they have intentionally walked the guy in front of you. They say, okay, I'm Nolan. I have 21 RBIs, 10 home runs, and you're going to pass to get to me. I know you're trying to think I'm going to hit into a double play. No, I'm going to drive a run in. That's what I'm going to do and extend the lead 5-2.
And Chip Hale's going to protect his closer and pull him out. 20-plus pitches. He's given up 3 runs. Still only 1 out in the 9th, and the Rockies are +3 on the scoreboard. Diamondbacks 2. The Rockies have out-hit Arizona 13-3. They have runners at first and second. 3 runs in the 9th. Gerardo Parra coming up. Who wants tacos? Fans follow @RootsSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special. And the Rockies score 7 or more runs in a game. Nolan just drove in Trevor Story, who had tripled into. And the new pitcher is a kid that probably thought they were putting him on when he got a call to come to the big leagues last night. Zach Curtis, that's right, not from Reno, not from AA, from the California League, Visalia. They were just playing Modesto, in fact. The Rockies high A affiliate. Zach Curtis called all the way up from Visalia, and the young man, I'm sure, thrilled, but it's not like his numbers were terrific in Visalia so far this year.
No, 5.23 ERA in 10 1/3 inning. 22 strikeouts for Zach. I actually had to go back. I mean, he's not even in the main section of the media guide. He's back with the minor league section of the media guide.
I'm serious. When he got that call, you know, he thought somebody was putting him on.
Pulling his leg.
Right. I mean, you don't get called up from A-ball very frequently.
The last guy I remembered, and there might be guys since then, but Chuck Finley was called up from the Midwest League when I was playing in that back in 1986, from the Midwest League to the big leagues.
Yeah, something tells me he didn't go back.
No, he never went back.
So here's Parra, 1 for 4. And the first big league pitch from Curtis misses, ball 1.
For Brad Ziegler to give up the 3 runs. He hadn't given up 2 or more runs in any inning since August 6th of last year, or 30 games ago.
This kid's out of Middle Tennessee State. Former 6th round pick. He was in the Midwest League last year. Pitched very well there. The league hit just 176 against him.
It was in Kane County, which is, that club is just outside of Chicago.
1-1. And that's going to be a double play ball. There's one and there's two. But the Rockies get 3 in the 9th. They're up 5-2. Looking for 3 outs. Trevor Story, an inside-out swing, lines a triple down the right field line to bring home Paulson and Blackman, and then for good measure, a run-scoring hit from Nolan Arenado. 5-2 Colorado. Night for the Rockies. It began with 5 shutout innings from Chris Russin of one-hit baseball as he outdueled Zach Greinke. Greinke had traffic in all 7 innings he pitched, but the Rockies could only put 2 runs on the board against him despite getting 8 hits. And a 3-run explosion against Brad Ziegler has given the Rockies an opportunity to win 5-2 tonight if Jake McGee can get 3 outs. McGee is set to go, and he'll face Paul Goldschmidt, Yasmani Tomas, Wellington Castillo in the 9th inning.
A few days off for Jake since Wednesday night. Came in against the Pirates, 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 walk. Finish this thing off. Your clubs come back. You have the lead. Set them down in order.
So McGee against Goldschmidt off the third base side of the rubber. Goldschmidt a single in the 4th, 1 for 3. And that fastball misses, ball 1. Final day of April 2016. Story didn't hit his 11th home run, but 2-run triple will have to suffice. That's high in the zone. 2 balls and a strike. Two and 2. You know, this is guaranteed to be a losing month of April for the Rockies, which has been unusual of late. The last time they had a losing month of April was 2010. They were 11-12 in April of 2010. They went on to have a winning season that year. 83 wins. Unfortunately, they faded in the final 2 weeks, or would have made the playoffs for the 3rd time in 4 years.
part of that fade started with the last game in LA and then 3 games here right after that in 2010. But if you hang on and win this game, you'll also be 7-4 to start the month of April out on the road.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Goldschmidt. Spikes a curveball, 3-2. Shattered bat, softly hit, and it's going to drop in center field for a single. That'll bring up Tomas.
The bat shattered in 2 or 3 places on the handle of the Subaru Supermo. Goldschmidt doesn't even know where the ball's going. He's worried about the barrel of the bat. That ended up over by the fence in the on-deck circle.
I don't know if I've ever seen a reaction like that, as if the barrel was going to come back somehow. It's not.
You think it's going to hit? It's not a boomerang. It's not going to hit you.
Tomas a walk, fly ball to deep center, and a pop out. One thing about McGee, you know, he's had that one game where it just went awry for him and couldn't protect a 3-run lead, gave up 5 against the Dodgers. But just looking at the pitches tonight with his fastball, they're all elevated.
Yeah, and the last couple times it's a tendency to fall behind the hitters coming out instead of getting strike one. With that exception tonight of Tomas with the first foul ball.
He went. 2 strikes. Oh-2 on Tomas.
Nifty block by Nick. The ball hits, it has a tendency to spin back the other way, and that one did. He just curled that right shoulder down. Not worried about trying to catch it. Keep Goldschmidt at first base.
1-2, ground ball to short. There's one on to first, double play. Nicely turned. 6-4-3. Trevor Story on the backhand, got it going. 2 outs in the 9th.
When you're a kid, you're always taught, try to get in front of the ball, but this is the right play for Trevor. He sets up for the backhand. So he knows he's going to backhand it, plants off the right foot, and then gives DJ a very nice feed at second base. Jake McGee's happy about that, but for DJ to catch the ball on that backside of the bag, you don't have to worry about the runner, then you just pop back, make the easy throw to first.
2 outs, nobody on. Castillo takes the fastball down low. Wellington a strikeout, 4-6-3 double play and a fly ball to center, and he waves at that pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Inside, 2-1. Rockies ready to go shake hands, poised on the top step of the dugout. Here's the 2-1. That's right down the middle, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. 6 strong innings from Chris Russin. Carlos Estevez did give up the 2-run home run, but he regathered himself and got the next 3 men. Gonzalez Germana 1-2-3 7th. Chad Qualls, who stands to get the victory, a 1-2-3 8th. 2-2. Ooh. Just inside. Tell on the Subaru strike zone. Castillo about half the time's got a grin on his face like, wow, I thought that was strike 3.
Nick must have said something to him because he was such.
And Hundley's laughing. Maybe he said, boy, I thought I struck out there. 3-2. This ball's hit to deep center field. This hit a ton. Off the wall, and it'll be retrieved by Parra. So it's a 2-out double for Castillo.
Well, whatever he was laughing about turned serious on this swing. He has now hit in 8 out of his last 10 games. High up on the wall to this hit, up 3/4 of the way. Parra hustling over to back Charlie up. He went.
He did. They check it out quickly with Paul Emmel. It's 0-1.
Arizona just 2 for the last 25 with runners in scoring position.
Pitches in for McGee, so still not as efficient, obviously, as he'd like. And this should do it. Nolan cuts across, gets Peralta to end the ball game, and the Rockies have won the first 2 down here in Arizona. They scored 3 in the 9th to provide the margin of victory, 5-2, and it's the first time that the Rockies have won consecutive road series in Phoenix since 2007. We all know what happened in 2007. The Rockies win 5-2. Chad Qualls 2-0 on the year, 51 career victories for the veteran reliever. Brad Ziegler takes the loss. He's 1-1, and for Jake McGee, his 5th save. The Rockies out-hit the Diamondbacks tonight 13-5. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game, tied at 2. Trevor Story at the plate, behind initially in the count 1-2, and then he rips a triple down the right field line to score Ben Paulson, who had reached on a base hit as a pinch hitter, and Charlie Blackmon, who had reached as on a single. So Story in the middle of it again down here at Chase Field. The Rockies win at 5-2. They finish April 11-12. Arizona drops to 12-14. As we go to our Denver studios, here's Jenny Kapner. Jenny?
Congratulations, D-Backs fans. Since the D-Backs hit a home run tonight, you can visit your local Jack in the Box restaurant tomorrow and get a free